It has happened, dear people. The German has taken over finally this podcast. Kick out the poor British people. They're not in our union anymore. It is the time. It has come so far. I teased it in every podcast. The Germans are on top again. No, just kidding. Hi guys, how you doing?
Oh, what an
This is our little tete-a-tete rendezvous dinner you're listening to now because unfortunately Tom got ill. Get well soon, Tom. Hopefully for tomorrow, because tomorrow we already need to talk about Dynamite. But it's just me, Patrick, hello, and my lovely colleague, friend, and the only redhead I know. It's really like that. That's a fact. Jack Griffin.
Hello, thank you, Patrick. What a warm welcome. Yeah, unfortunately, we've not got our main host, Tom, here today. He's feeling a bit under the weather, not his usual self. So we told him, take it easy, rest up, and get himself better. Health before the podcast. So we did have ask around a bit of our regular guests. We like to feature Liam and Hugh. Both are busy. We also asked our other friends in the group chat. No one got back to us, so you've ended up with just me and Patrick. But, the show must go on, as they say. Hey, Patrick?
Yeah, and the last time Germans and English people were together, like in such a thing, it always ended good for the Germans, but...
Right. I swear...
I'm referencing to football now, not to the war. Now it's football time. The last games Germany against England were good, just for the Germans.
I swear, every podcast, you got to slip it in once, don't you? You've always got to slip it in. Now, I'm looking forward to it, to be fair. Great pay-per-view it was. And yeah, now we get to talk about it, and I've been waiting since Sunday night, Monday morning to talk about it, and the time is now. It is Wednesday. I don't know why we're always so late with this thing. As we say, the most unprofessional podcast, but now it's the time.
Bees. We have a professional life outside of this profession, so
we do. And how has your week been? Actually, I didn't catch you, did I, for the last episode? It was Hugh. So
yeah, it was a lot. Like I was super busy doing the things I do during the week. On the weekend, I could relax a lot. That was really nice. And today it started snowing again here in Iceland. Super nice, right? The spring is coming. So
I love how that's spring for you. Here it's just been windy and rainy. This is the thing. England compared to Iceland. Everyone moved to Iceland, and it sounds a lot better than here in England.
Definitely. We'll have the rain and the wind throughout the whole year. When it's not snowy and windy, then it's rainy and windy. So
there you go.
That's the thing. It's actually worse than in Britain, maybe. I don't know if it's worse. But coming back to wrestling, my friend, because we have to talk about it. There happened a lot. I was also, like you said before, I was super excited for the pay-per-view. I have to say, not only because... they said some big reveals will be in there, mostly for the main event, and also like some storyline developments that could happen in that pay-per-view. Yeah, but let's start with the buy-in. Did you watch the buy-in?
Oh yeah, the buy-in was good. It was obviously trying to remember Thunder Rosa and Riho. And Britt Baker, and who I thought was going to be Reba and Rebel, and everyone then kept on telling me that she was maybe injured. I'll let you take the lead with this to reveal who it was. But yeah, I was looking forward to this a lot, because if anyone knows me, I love Thunder Rosa and I love Britt Baker. So any match in them.
Right. Yeah, right. And then there was a little bit the thing about like, well, how good could Reba be, or Reba, not Reba, Rebel, and. Yeah, how could she add up to this match? Because we had really good wrestlers in there. I wouldn't say she's a bad wrestler, but she's not on the same level, I guess. And then Britt came out and announced that Reba is unable to compete because she has been attacked backstage.
Well, that's one of those as well. Do you think it was a legit injury, or do you think it was just like...
It was a work.
It was a work.
When you see from what happened in the match. But the biggest thing, or the first announcement of the night came when... they announced a replacement, which was, to a huge pop from the audience and also myself, Maki Ito. She came in directly from Japan after wrestling at a TJPW show on Saturday evening. She directly flew 16 hours straight to Florida. We're not talking about COVID in this case, if that's possible or not, if that's good or not. But she came in, flew in, and rocked the house immediately, right?
Amazing. Honestly, it got a pop for me. I was doing a live watch along with Tom. Tom didn't manage to make it through the whole show. Neither of us managed to make it through. He dipped before me, but I managed up till the last two, and I started drifting. But now with the buy-in, I popped Maki Ito. She was one of the standout stars from the Japanese side of the bracket. One of the ones that really took not just mine, but everyone's kind of attention and as a fan base. Everyone loved her. She had such a unique kind of style, unique, presence, obviously coming out and singing at the start as well. Wrestling's great, and her social media presence. She's kind of got the whole package as a wrestler when you look at it that way. And coming out and just the reception she got there as well. Like, it's not even a full crowd. This is obviously, they said, was their biggest crowd they've had post-COVID. And you could tell it was loud. Everyone loved her. I specifically like how she's obviously still over here. Obviously, flying away to Japan, she would be. She made an appearance on BTE, which, she did a little segment with Dark Order, which awesome. I loved. Yeah, amazing. And she's got to either eventually get signed or have more kind of, AEW related stuff going on, because she's just a star in the making, right? She has so much potential over here, and it showed in this match. The work rate with her and Britt was amazing. Surprised they won. It was kind of, me and Tom was saying, in terms of, who was going to get the win. You look at both sides. Thunder Rosa obviously is a star, and she has taken a couple pins, on Dynamites and stuff. But then Riho as well, like, you weren't sure whether having Riho in, are you going to let her lose at first on a pay-per-view? And then you look at the other side, Makito coming in, is she going to get it was all these different scenarios. You're like, you didn't see it coming. But now, match as a buy-in match, incredible. What was your thoughts, Pat?
Yeah, same here. I didn't stop the clock. But I would say, like, from my feeling, that Maki Ito even got the longest in-ring time of all competitors there. She was very long time in the ring. Yeah, she was also able, like, in the beginning, like a first round in the ring, let's say it like this, when she was in there, she was not able to show that much. Of course, some nice trademark moves, but in the end, in the second time she got really into the ring, she was able to falls sideways onto the stomach. I think it was on Thunder Rosa or so she did that. It's just a trademark move. I loved that, really. But I also loved the 619 by Riho.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool. Like, at one point also where the Britt Baker interrupted and the momentum changed of the match, because the momentum was on Thunder Rosa's and Riho's side, and then it changed back to Britt Baker and Makito, and from then on, it was in between a little brawl and everything. So that was really nice. It had a lot of action in there. And what was also cool, I wrote down here, Maki Ito countering a running knee from Riho into a half Boston Crab. That was just awesome, really. Like, this was really cool. Really nice moves they showed there. And in the end, Britt Baker does the final... I wrote down that's the Adam Cole super kick. Because I think she got it from her boyfriend. And then she pushed Thunder Rosa. Yeah, right. Thunder Rosa. Rebel. There's so many R's in there. Rebel, Reba, Rosa, Baker. She pushed her into the ropes, and the referee was not seeing that Rebel, not Reba, hit then Thunder Rosa with the crotch. How do you say that's crotch? Is that right?
Yeah, I say crotch. Yeah.
Crutch. Yeah, right. With that. So yeah, this is why I think the injury is faked. Because you could directly see that she was just there to be at ringside, to upset, and then because she was standing on the apron normally, like if you need to go on crutches, you cannot just go up on the apron.
Yeah,
so
sure.
This is work. This was the match, but more of this will happen later, actually. So then let's get into the show. It opened actually with a graphic to remember Jim Crockett Jr., who passed away, which is a very important person in the wrestling history because, he invented WCW. So this is where TNT actually, or not TNT, Turner was his name, bought it from and everything. Yeah, then we got into the first match directly, the AEW Tag Team Championship, the Young Bucks versus MJF and Jericho. Your thoughts on that?
Thoughts on this? Yeah, definitely a match that it took a while for me to appreciate it on the card. By that I mean, because obviously it initially started this whole kind of storyline as such would be, the Inner Circle 6-man, the Inner Circle tag match, where I personally wanted Santana and Ortiz to win. They didn't end up winning. Obviously Jericho and MJF ended up winning. Then it annoyed me with a bit where obviously Santana and Ortiz then got a title shot anyway, but nonetheless, that was all in the past. You can listen to that review when we talked about that a couple of weeks back. And then obviously they started to, push it up the gears, getting a bit more storyline into it, a bit more presence, getting a bit of hype going. Obviously, the pinnacle of that being 2 weeks ago where Jericho and MJF attacked Papa Buck, which obviously then you really were into, from 0 to 100, you really ramped it up there. And then last week, obviously, your review where I wasn't here, but talking about, the Young Bucks attack on the Inner Circle in general with the help of Good Brothers and, attacking Santana Ortiz specifically, especially that table spot, which you talked about, which is great. And then it came to this match, which, like I obviously started that point saying, I went from not really caring that much about it because Jericho and MJF were just, they're just put together. They're not a natural team, especially in tag matches, but, learned to love it. And this match in general, I was a fan of it. I would not say it was my match of the night. I think there were better matches, and I've seen better tag matches from Young Bucks. But in terms of, I can see why they started with it. You got to start big. It's a title match, especially the tag team division is one of the main things AEW obviously has going for it. So it's a big, big thing in general. But I think in general, a good match. Enjoyed it. The right result came through. But I don't know if you'd agree, Patrick, and obviously when it gets to you say, but I thought, at some points in the match, I was like, could Jericho and MJF actually win? Like, could that actually happen? I obviously, originally going into the match, thought easy Young Bucks win.
A lot of near falls in the match, yeah.
Exactly, and But lots of good spots, which I think I'll leave to you because I'm not so good on talking about the spots. But in terms of the match, good match, not amazing, but a good way to start off what was a nice pay-per-view.
Yeah, see, I completely agree with you. It was not the most hype match for me. I was mostly looking forward to it. Also, as an opener, it was a good opener also. It didn't steal the show or anything, but got us in a good mood. They started, the Young Bucks actually started quite quick with going at it, completely directly attacking MJF and Jericho, but then the match settled a bit and became a real tag team match. I also wrote down it was a wild match. There were a lot of things, a lot of counter moves, a lot of near falls. What was also very interesting, I don't think we saw the super kick party that often in the pay-per-view match, so it was quite a super kick party by the Bucks. What was important actually also for the storytelling is that Wardlow interrupted a lot, but once he wanted to interrupt and then Jericho missed, I don't know who of the Bucks, and knocked him out with a Judas effect, and this led in the end to their loss.
Yeah, I do think with Wardlow there, I think with Wardlow being there was one of the reasons why I thought maybe they could win, because obviously in typical MJF fashion where he gets given the diamond, the ring, I thought, well, could that happen? But obviously, with him then getting put out with the super kick, then you just knew which way it was going.
Yeah, right. So that's the thing, and this we will come to that later. There will be another segment with it, but this is quite important to see that Jericho knocked out Wardlow. And I wouldn't say they minimized their chances or they lost with it directly, but this led a little bit to it because they didn't have the interference from outside anymore. But I don't have to add a lot here because it was just a good match. It was just some crazy moves in between, again, from the Young Bucks as usual. Jericho also, I still have to say Jericho with his age, that he's still in the ring, does that stuff. He got a, like you say, a BTE driver is what they call it, together from them. And when you looked at it, he gets one knee in the back, one knee in the front of his face, and you're like, he's that old. He still does that for the money. You're like, oh my God. But good match, good opener. And when we're talking about tag teams, we can directly go to the second match because there came the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal. So just to give a small glimpse of that, or just also about the rules, because in the beginning you're like, what are the rules? Luckily they explain it for us. The rules are quite simple. Actually, they're like the Royal Rumble in the end. Just the difference is that one guy of the team has to be standing at the end for both of the members of the team to win it. Just one is eliminated doesn't mean the whole team is eliminated. And they also have every 90 seconds somebody enters. But now comes the big difference. Hello WWE. They have a counter in the back which counts down and shows you the real time, not the WWE 90 seconds or so, where somebody enters the ring. No, the real 90 seconds. 15 teams were in it, so it's also a little Royal Rumble because there were 30 men in it. I don't know. Do you know which team was the surprise entrant? I think it was Bear Country. That they are the ones which are not on the graphic, but I'm not sure because they said there will be a surprise entrant. There was no real focus on who was the surprise entrant because we talked about it last week also, Gorillas of Destiny or who was coming there, and in the end it was just no one. It was just fading to black somewhere in the background. It was no emphasis put on it. So yeah, what do you think about the match?
No, and well, firstly, on your point, I myself never actually thought there was a special guest. I know Liam mentioned it in our group chat, and Liam, our friend who obviously is featured on the podcast, he did a little poll sort of thing for us to kind of guess who was going to win each match, and who'd be the main sign-in and all this sort of stuff. And he did put a section for the secret tag team. I didn't know this was happening at all, but Liam informed us it was, and then obviously to our surprise there was no secret, or I wouldn't say there was no secret tag team because, as you said, Bear Country, you couldn't see him on the graphic, and also Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi. But in terms of that, I mean, they're obviously not, secret tag teams because they're not really got the caliber to carry that title. So I don't know whether maybe someone pulled out, maybe they were meant to have a secret tag team and they pulled out because, they couldn't get there or all this sort of stuff. But nonetheless, it is what it is. Right, yeah, so I've got a list of all the people in there in the Battle Royal, which I'll run through. So you got the Natural Nightmares. You had 3 Dark Order teams, Alan Five Angels, Preston Vance. They were 1. Evil Uno and Steve Grayson, they were 2. And obviously, Alex Reynolds and John Silver were there as well. You had the Inner Circle being represented by Santana and Ortiz. The Seidel brothers, Matt and Mike. The Gun Club, Austin and Colton Gunn. I did not know this was their tag team name until looking down, but the Pretty Picture is apparently their tag team name. Pretty Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi. Actually, what is it Tom normally calls him? I don't know, Cesar Broccoli. I wanted to come up with a funny one there.
Ballaroni.
Yeah, I don't know whether it works, Cesar Broccoli, but take it as you will. The Varsity Blondes, Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison. Bear Country, which was great to see because, we don't see them often. Jurassic Express, which is Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, obviously. The Butcher and the Blade, Private Party, SCU, Christopher Daniels and Frank Kazarian there, Death Triangle, and as I previously stated, Dark Order being represented by Alex Reynolds and John Silver. So so they were the 15 teams. Lots of great teams in there, and a lot of teams which you don't see a lot of, i.e. Bear Country, you don't see a lot of, who I know me and Tom have bigged up. So in terms of the problem I have with these sort of matches, and I know Hugh said it in our little preview for Revolution, is it's so hard to follow. The cameras struggle to pick up everything, and it's hard to keep track of who's there or who's not there. It's one of those, if you're trying to watch it and take absolute attention to everything, and be like, okay, who's out first, who's out second, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much as if you take it for what it is and just enjoy a free-for-all basically, because you spend so much time trying to keep track of everyone and you lose the focus on who's actually making an impact in the match. So we'll go straight to who won so I can talk about it. Death Triangle, Ray Phoenix and Pac, they came out the winners. It was quite nice in the end because it was a Mexican standoff between Pac and Ray Phoenix. Pac, Ray Phoenix, John Silver and Jungle Boy. Nice little Mexican standoff. And at that point, I mean, obviously the numbers were on the side of Death Triangle, obviously both their members still being there, but you could see any of them winning. I know Jungle Boy, never write him off. I'm sure we're going to have a Jurassic Express proper tag team push. I mean, we've had it quite recently in general, but in terms of being in the title picture, that's going to come soon. John Silver and Alex Reynolds have really been picking up, lots and lots of fans, mainly from BTE, but also wrestling. We've started to see, a side to them which we never normally saw pre-COVID, but they definitely, have improved as wrestlers and each week and get a lot more screen time. And Death Triangle, I was a big fan of them. I thought it's quite a nice take with Penta being injured. Actually, he wasn't injured. He was in the ladder match. So it's a nice take with Penta being involved in another match. To have them tag up, we know as a trio they have great chemistry. So it was obviously going to happen that Pac and Ray Phoenix had good chemistry. They're similar sort of wrestlers, Pac being a bit more technical. Obviously, Ray Phoenix, as we know, high flyer. I felt they gelled really nicely. And obviously, they then now win the future title match, the Young Bucks. We've not been told where. I doubt it'll be 3 months and then Double or Nothing. It'll probably be a special Dynamite, whatever special Dynamite they're going to do at some point. But it's nice because we have seen a lot of Young Bucks and Lucha Bro matches. We've seen not too many of them. You can never have too many, but we've seen a lot of them. So it's nice to still have 50% of the Lucha Bros in a match, but have something a bit different, and seeing how that addition of having Pac in the team is going to affect a match with the Young Bucks. And
they are adding up to each other so much, right? Like Pac and Phoenix are perfect, really.
Exactly. But again, as a match in itself, I've really enjoyed it. Again, not quite match of the night. There's obviously it's pay-per-view, and every match could be match of the night for, it depends obviously what sort of fan you are and who your favourite wrestlers are. But no, enjoyed it for what it was. Nice to see all these tag teams that don't normally get even screen time on Dynamite to get airtime on a pay-per-view. It's a really nice way to, show them that even though you don't get all the screen time you should, we are still there for you. We do still care about you. You are in our kind of image as a company. So I think I've rambled on enough. Patrick, you talk about your takes on the match.
Right. Yeah, completely agree also with you on that again. That's quite boring when I always say it.
I agree, Jack. I agree.
But maybe this is why we're doing the podcast together. I don't know. But it's also for me, like, this match felt a little random when they announced this, like, we need to stack up the card a little bit, put that match in, give people the screen time where some teams are definitely deserve it. I don't doubt that. But it lacks sometimes a little bit of, the importance to have it there, like, of course now Death Triangle have their title shot, but as you saw it before with Santana and Ortiz, who are again in it for a title shot, getting the title shot, but then MJF and Jericho, and this is it feels sometimes a little random, and I hope they're gonna make a nice build up. Of course, they have this history with the Lucha Bros and the Bucks, but what I also want to mention in the Battle Royal, the noticeable things that happened is that QT Marshall eliminated the Gun Club, where also I noticed that I don't know his name anymore. I forgot his name. Like, is his name in there from the Gun Club? Colton Gunn. Okay. No, Colton Gunn. I didn't know Colton Gunn was also there because I never watched Dark or so. I don't know. I didn't know Colton Gunn was also in there. So it's
his brother, isn't it? Yeah, Billy Gunn's his dad.
Family. And QT, QT Marshall eliminated them both, and then Dustin Rhodes looked at him like, why did you do that there? And our team's like, why not? Like, we need to have a title shot. It's every man for himself. And then they had a little argument, and then QT Marshall had enough. He just jumped out of the ring and eliminated himself, turned around and spat Dustin Rhodes in the face. Actually, I don't know where this came from. I heard there are some things going on in the background, maybe at Dark or anywhere in the Nightmare Family thing, that he wasn't happy with that. So yeah, that was a nice thing, but also for me, like, I don't know what this is now. Maybe also for the other people who are watching the pay-per-view who are not there regularly on Dark. And another thing that happened, which was quite important also, just these little bits, I like that Jack Evans came out under the ring. Was it under the ring or just came in? And
it was under the ring,
to eliminate Preston Vance. Yeah, he came out again to eliminate this time Preston Vance from the Dark Order. Also, Marco Stunt was in the match and eliminated, I don't know who it was, although he was not part of the match, but he eliminated somebody. So, yeah, it was fun. The whole match was fun. As you also said, like, there are so many things happening. You don't know where the camera is, that you're missing out on something or so. So it was a lot of action. It's just a nice match for in between, I would say, these things. Just nice filler matches to have some action on it. And and I also think, like, the Mexican standoff, that was put very well together in the word, because this reminded me definitely of it. And having Phoenix and Jungle Boy there, where actually Jungle Boy was the one with the bigger momentum, but then got smartly eliminated by Phoenix. They are teasing something big for him, really. Like, I don't know if it was JR who said it. He said, Jungle Boy, when will Jungle Boy become Jungle Man? So maybe there's something going on. I don't know. So that's curious what happened. Curious to see what happens there. Going on. there came a little backstage segment with Dasha Fuentes, who was Dasha Fuentes, that's her name, or Gonzalez.
Dasha Gonzalez, yeah.
Gonzalez Fuentes was the WWE lady, I think, right? Yeah, she was with Paul White in front of the locker room from Paul White, and he said, "I'm the only person who knows who, and me and Tony Khan are the only persons who know that who the person is that comes out later. I'm going to present who signs a deal, whatever. Super unimportant, just a filler. Same. This was nice to show El Snow. He was in the crowd. He's like an important guy still backstage who teaches a lot of wrestlers and taught a lot of wrestlers their handcraft. So, yeah, but nothing we need to talk about. Now let's get to the other match, which was the Women's Championship match between Shida and Ryo Mizunami. I hope I pronounced that Japanese right. Yeah, and I like now we have to talk about the video package before, because it was really nice and wrapped up their history together really nicely, which I wasn't aware of, showing that they have like this 10-year feud going on, or it started 10 years ago when Mizunami told Shida that she couldn't beat her anyway, anyhow, anytime. No way that she's going to beat her anytime. And in 2019, or until 2019, Mizunami was almost done with wrestling. She said, she's not going to wrestle anymore. And then she turned up in AEW in 2019. I actually have to admit that I didn't know that she was there in 2019, although I saw the show and the match. But yeah, and she said then she was getting back into it, was falling in love with it again, which is a real nice story. And then she saw, Shida has the title. Okay, now we have to clash, and she has to prove that she can beat me to be a real champ. And this was a nice thing. This was also, I have to say, a very Japanese touch on these things, with like being the real hero or so. But I like that. This is also why I watch a lot of anime, and so I think, yeah. How did you like the match?
Yeah, I was looking forward to this match. I think the whole tournament has been a success, really. I mean, I know we come here week in, week out, and we have a little moan sometimes when we don't like certain things. We're like a kid, when something doesn't go our way, we kick and moan. But at the end of the day, there's nothing really you can do about it. We've got no impact on any of the booking, and it is what it is. We've got to take it for what it is. Would we have liked to have seen a couple of other people go over? We would, let's be honest. We wouldn't like to have seen Nyla Rose get to that Eliminator final, but nonetheless, it happened. It's there now. But Ryo Mizunami was definitely one that stood out for me throughout the tournament anyway. I thought she was really impressive, sort of like a giant killer, as they called her, throughout obviously the tournament, obviously knocking out Awesome Kong. Not Awesome Kong, that was from AEW. Azure Kong, knocking out Nyla Rose, to then obviously get to this, beating some, big girls. And yeah, obviously then meeting Shida. Now, AEW loves Shida. Let's be honest. She is obviously, we've had 3 women's title holders so far. Riho, Nyla Rose, Hikaru Shida. Hikaru Shida is obviously, the longest reigning so far. And every pay-per-view, I always say to Tom, to whoever I'm talking to, this is the one. This is the pay-per-view. Shida's losing it. No matter who it's against, I always seem to think Shida is going to lose. And that's not because I dislike Shida and that I don't have faith in her. It's just because her reign's been that long. You do think, this could be the time to lose it. And as much as it kind of annoys me, it's like, we need a new women's champ. I like it because with having that feeling that every title fight, Shida's got, feeling that this could be the one she loses, it grips you. It gets you that attention. And maybe, sometimes that's a nice way to do it, because you think this is the one she's going to lose. And then when it doesn't go that way, you're like, and it is a surprise. Obviously, the result of this match being Shida beat Mizunami. I think it was a shock to a lot of people. Obviously, you say your piece when it comes to it. I know, a couple of people were shocked. I know I spoke to Liam beforehand. He thought she was going to win. But just to see her, obviously coming through to Eliminator tournament, getting to that final, she was having a lot of fun. Both of them were having fun. There was a lot of good energy, coming with good work rate. Lots of funny moments as well. Mizunami's quite a character in the ring. She made me chuckle a couple of times because it's just so not what you're used to seeing in the matches. Again, good spots, but I'll let you take that lead. And yeah, Shida retains. Where does it go? Honestly, and this is what I want to pitch to you as well. Where does it go from here? Because each fight Shida has, obviously she's going to lose at some point. Is it going to... I can't see who's going to win it at this point. Obviously, we fought Britt Baker, but she obviously loses out in the Eliminator tournament. Other shouts, Serena Deeb being like a double champ. Thunder Rosa coming up. You could have maybe Riho being back second reign there. Same with Nyla Rose. There's quite... I'll tell you what AEW have, and we've been a big fan of the women's division so far this year. They have done well, and I still stand by that. Some of the decisions haven't been what I would go for, but nonetheless, they've been good, entertaining matches. So where do you think they go for? If I had to guess, I mean, every time I say Britt Baker's going to be the next one to win it, because it looks that way, but then you never know, do you? So, but to summarise, the match I enjoyed, very much so. Definitely one of my favourites of the night. Good match, very, very good representation for the women's in a pay-per-view. And yeah, Hikaru Shida, she stays our women's champ.
Yeah, right? Again. So I read also some comments online how people were upset about it. Some even said, yeah, because she's Kenny Omega's girlfriend, she's keeping...
Is that official? Me and Tom always ask. We never... Are they actually?
Yeah, I don't know. Really, I don't know. I never saw Kenny in one of her live streams or any affiliation to that. That's a big secret. Also, from Kenny's private life is a big secret. Also, when it comes to this, that's the nice thing. If he's really gay or if he's really in love with Kota, or so, I don't really care about this part. Like I said, but I like also what you said, like that they're building this up, that gives the women's title also a little credibility to keep it that long. Then it makes everything way more suspenseful. Like you also said, the tournament was great. I also thought Britt Baker would make it. I didn't thought Mizunami would do it. I don't know if they will sign her now, because that's the thing where I'm like, will they sign her now like full time or so? Because then you need to sign somebody really full time now. And the COVID time, I don't know. That's the same with Maki Ito. I don't know if she stays now forever, and this was just a once in the night pop up and she was there. So I also liked the match a lot. I didn't write down a lot of spots or anything, because it was a more classical wrestling match. Before was a lot of action and high flying and spots and everything, but here it was very classical. What was interesting is that Shida had to put some effort in it. She had to do 2 Falcon Arrows and 2, not even 2, like the third one was it in the end, the third running knee strike, which brought her the win. She had to put a lot of effort into it. And what I liked at the end of the match, that even Mizunami, they bowed down before each other, but Mizunami was even bowing more down, like almost her head on the ground, or I think maybe on the ground. So this is the biggest respect you can give somebody then in Japan. But while doing that, now coming back to the buy-in match again, or the ending maybe of the buy-in match also a bit, that Nyla Rose came out, attacked both of them, and then also the other ones, Reba. I always mix that up. When I want to say Rebel, I want to say Reba. I think she achieved what she wanted to do with that.
Yeah.
Ito and Britt Baker came out then to assist Nyla Rose, and then Thunder Rosa came out to tell them all away. And that was interesting. Also, like I saw, like I can say that also I watched the ups and downs from Simon Miller every time, because I just like this guy. It's very entertaining. He brought that also already up, that might be that there will be like a new faction or so, because they're aligned together.
To add
would
to
be
that,
also something nice, right?
Yeah, to add to that, it's and I don't know whether it's just because when we obviously preview the card for this week's Dynamite, we'll get further into it. But there's a six-man or six-woman, shall I say, match on this week's Dynamite tonight, which is Nyla Rose, Britt Baker, and Maki Ito versus Thunder Rosa, Hikaru Shida, and Ryo Mizunami. So obviously all of which were featured then at the end of that match. So whether that's also it was just a little, segue to get to that match, good. Or if there's future. But I like the idea of a future faction. So let's talk about that a bit more. Would you?
Yeah.
Who would you see?
There are no factions really in the women's division.
No, and who would you like to see form a faction.
Obviously, I have to say now that Maki Ito appeared on BT, I would love her to be in the Dark Order because her character just fits perfect in that, like there's no doubt. The thing is, like, I would like to see also Nyla Rose, Britt Baker, also maybe, although they're not really fitting together, I think Britt Baker and Reba, they're a good team. But yeah, I have to say, I don't know. I would say the Japanese faction a little more. Riho, Shida, that they are together. This just makes sense also since these factions are a very traditional thing, a very big thing in Japan or in Japanese wrestling. Yeah. That's actually the thing I can think of now, because Thunder Rosa joining them would be also nice because her wrestling style also goes in that direction. She wrestles a lot in Japan also. Like out of my head, I can just say these. I don't see where Britt Baker and Nyla Rose would fit together, to be honest. Like, it was now for on screen, it was nice, but I don't see where they can fit together, because you see also Nyla Rose with Vicky Guerrero and the cringy things they're doing on BTE. Maybe they're also doing something like on BTE. They have this guy. He's also.
Can we just brush over that?
Doing the priest. Yeah, please, because I'm also like not another Dark Order ripoff where they get like after 2 weeks, oh, that's actually the same and it's shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, like I would only see now the Japanese faction or maybe some more heels lining up together, because Anna Jay is out right now, and Maki Ito would fit best to the Dark Order, I think, from her style, also because she's crazy. That's just perfect. You need a crazy person also in a cult, so that's
Well, I know John Silver's a massive fan,
and you need a leader. Yeah. But you also need a leader in this cult, so I don't know where this will lead up to.
Well, it's nice to be able to, speculate and have these sort of ideas. I, for one, would probably prefer to see an all-female faction. It's nice, obviously, seeing the females join these, factions we've seen in the men's side, i.e., Anna Jay joining Dark Order. But I do think we just need a badass women's faction. I don't know who would go into it. I think it'd be better if it was a heels faction myself, rather than a face faction, but no, I definitely think it's something AEW needs to look at. I can't really say right now who would be the right people, because I think with a lot of these, because it's so sometimes the tag matches they have in the women's division are quite random. I think it's hard to speculate who goes with who. I think you could see like Anna Jay and Tay Conti, but Anna Jay's already in Dark Order, and stuff like that. So, but it's nice. It's definitely early stages in sort of thinking about it. I know I mentioned it before, but I don't doubt that AEW have definitely had the discussion. So hopefully something comes from it.
Yeah, hopefully. Also, after the really good women's tournament, now they're putting a lot of effort into the women's division. I hope they will keep on doing that the next weeks. Like also the 6-man tag, which is happening on Wednesday. That's a sign in the right direction. I think the people will also be excited who are in the crowd there. But yeah, let's see what comes out of this. Like they need to go in some direction. Also to give other wrestlers female wrestlers a bigger screen time.
Massively.
That's also what you can achieve.
We need the biggest step they could take for that would be 2 women's matches in one night on Dynamite. That's the biggest thing they could do.
That would be like, that's right for me also. Like they need to do that, actually. I think even Raw has that, or SmackDown has that there are 2 women's matches at least in one night. So although the match time is way shorter in Raw or SmackDown, but they also managed to squeeze that in there somehow. And now also with AEW Dark Elevation coming in, they can take some male talent off Dynamite, I think, and give more women's talent the stage. I think that's important. All right, coming to the next match. Before the match, actually, the promo, or let's say the promo, Chucky T and Orange Cassidy wanted to start, but then got interrupted by Miro, knocking out OC, knocking Chuck Taylor into the door glass, whatever it is there, and dragging him out to the ring and taking the mic, telling him, why did you betray me? I could have got you to the moon and back and everything, and telling him and also holding him the mic in the face, saying, now what do you say? What do you say? Oh, ring the bell. That was quite funny, I have to say. because he was beaten down and he still said, "I wanna fight you." After a while, Orange Cassidy came out, surprised us all with the super punch against Miro. But then the match took its way. I have to say, for me, there was nothing super special. It was in this case more a squash match for Miro. The only thing noticeable that was happening in the match was that he pushed Orange Cassidy willingly into Penelope Ford, who then fell from the ring apron down on the floor, and Orange Cassidy was also distracted then, or he knocked him out. I don't remember exactly. And then he took Taylor in the he calls it game over. His what is that, camel clutch he does there, and won the match. So there's nothing much I can say that it was a squash match. I did not like it, to be honest, because I think it's underutilization of Miro and Orange Cassidy. That's the match I wanted to see for that night, and I was hoping a little bit when they had this backstage thing that he was knocking out OC and Chuck Taylor, maybe that OC gets up again and Chuck Taylor is injured, and then they just say, "Oh, we're going to make a one-on-one match." But, what did you think of that?
Yeah, definitely for me, I'd probably say this now. As we get in, I might change my mind. But for me, weakest match on the card and in the pay-per-view in general. To reiterate what you said, it was a squash match, to be fair. It was a squash match on a pay-per-view, which was a shame because they could have just had Miro and OC and had a better, longer match. And it probably would have had the same sort of storyline implications. I think there was a lot of, in this storyline, irrelevant people. Maybe they were relevant at one point in the storyline, but then weren't needed. I know Tom mentioned it in the last episode with Kip and Penelope not even being involved in a Miro promo. The only way I could see them moving forward with this is if Miro and Kip Sabian have their fallout soon, because obviously Miro's very much now like, I don't need you anymore, Kip. I've kind of got I needed you as a way into AEW and a way into like the limelight. He sort of seems to now like not care about either of them. I.e., you saying he pushed OC into Penelope Ford. He doesn't seem to, and I think there's got to have some sort of implications where, he falls out of Kip and be like, "I don't need you," because he could easily in a tag match keep tagging himself in or not tagging Kip in at all and just making it all about him. And then in which case he then goes on, a singles run and starts, his work up and maybe then reach Kenny at some point. But I just think definitely disappointed in the match in general. But I don't think at all during the storyline we've been too impressed. I think the high point for me was the wedding. And I know in that episode I talked about it was taking my wrestling wedding virginity. So that's probably the only reason. But it just wasn't needed to be this long. It wasn't needed to have some of the characters that were in it. And overall, weakest match on the card. So I don't think there's too much more to say. We could obviously sit here and speculate about where it goes, but I don't think it's even worth guessing because this. I think we.
Really. I just hope the storyline is over now.
Exactly.
It took too long, and it had a very bad start, from out of nowhere, really, and yeah.
Yeah, it started off with the game.
Let everyone else go their their own path, and just.
Yeah, it's weird to think it started off with that video game because now I think about it, that was months ago, and that's literally the essence and what started this feud. It's so weird. So hopefully that's in the past. Again, I'd like to see now though Miro and Kip fall out. Miro get a singles run and push because he really is, and it's a shame because he's been tied with Kip that they haven't been able to show it so much. But he really is one of the standout stars in AEW and deserves to shine. He does.
Yeah. Definitely. You saw that also now in the match, how good he is, how hard hitting he also is, how he looks. And I'm really hoping, but I'm pretty sure it will happen that he shows up in NJPW also. When the pandemic is over a bit, everything is a little more relaxed or so, and they can travel easier between the countries. I'm pretty sure he will show up there.
I didn't think about that.
With his style he's made. I'm really thinking, just waiting for it. Just imagine him against Minoru Suzuki or so. Two crazy motherfuckers.
Dream match.
They could really have what I want to see. Yeah.
They could have a real hardcore match, couldn't they? But that's the thing. I don't think I think about him coming in the ties that AEW has now. They definitely, and I think we'll see it more when the pandemic's over. The crossover of stars going over there, their stars coming over here. I think we'll see a lot more of it. And yeah, Miro in New Japan, maybe even he could turn up. I know it's a long way away, but Wrestle Kingdom next year and have a match there or something. Or
Oh yeah.
I love that Patrick. I love it.
Really. Yeah. Right. All right. So going on next was the next segment. Marves was backstage with the Inner Circle and was talking or asking, like, really stupidly, to be honest, like, why did you lose? Why did you fail? And then, of course, Chris Jericho was upset. Who wouldn't be upset? Even as a face, you would be upset being asked such a stupid question. But one person wasn't upset, and that was MJF. He was just disappointed standing there. And they announced that they'll have, what did they say, a war council on Wednesday on Dynamite to talk about further actions within the Inner Circle, also where they're standing now. So just going back to the match they had before that, Jericho knocked out Wardlow. Maybe they're kicking Jericho out. I don't know what happens there. I'm really, really curious to see what happens on Wednesday. Might be the time or something else might happen. Sammy Guevara is also not on the air right now. It's interesting to see what will happen there on Wednesday, because you could clearly see that MJF was mad at Jericho, and you could clearly see that the people standing in the back were just disappointed.
Massively, yeah. I think this is definitely the next stage in the storyline. I know Tom's a massive fan of it. I know I've been as well. This Inner Circle storyline. I thought, and I do agree, this is the right time to do this. I originally thought this match that Jericho would get injured and have to take time out for a bit, and that's when MJF stems in. So obviously Chris Jericho's not injured. He was fine. And they're obviously having this war council now on Wednesday. And I think, I don't know, it could get heated. I wouldn't say right now Jericho's leaving the Chris Jericho's leaving the Inner Circle like straight away on Wednesday, but it's definitely going to be like the next piece of the puzzle putting together for MJF's takeover. In my opinion, if he does do it that way, we're assuming MJF's going to take over the Inner Circle. He might not. I think.
Yeah, right. It's just an assumption. You never know how fast or how slow this will develop. I hope it develops faster than slower than other storylines, but maybe just Wednesday will be like maybe the final nail in the coffin, and then something happens in the week after, or at a special event they will be holding in a month or so. I don't know.
I'd like to see eventually, because there's 7 members of the Inner Circle. I mean, if you count out Wardlow, because he doesn't wrestle too much, I mean, you could count him in. But I'm just trying to think of a way, because obviously Sammy out, but Sammy's not going to be out forever. He will come back as a face at some point. Again, we're just assuming he'll be coming back as face, might not. I think he'll eventually come back for Jericho when Jericho gets casted out. But I'd like to see some sort of, the now faces of the Inner Circle, or, the good guys as such, Jericho, Sammy, and if they kick someone else out, say Hager, could be Hager to be fair. And then you've got MJF, Wardlow, and Santana Ortiz left on the other side, and then have some sort of, maybe even a tag match where you've got the Sex Gods reunion versus MJF and maybe Wardlow, and then just have some sort of what do they call it in Marvel, Civil War, Inner Circle Civil War sort of thing would be great. But again, at this point, because obviously we're reviewing the pay-per-view, you like having these ideas of where it's going. It's definitely what my favorite part of wrestling is, just trying to guess where it goes and having all these sort of fantasy storylines and stuff. But now it's definitely, the tensions are rising, as they have been for months now in the Inner Circle, weeks. And interesting to see what happens on Dynamite this week.
Yeah, right. Really interesting how this will develop. Also, what was interesting was the quick development of the Hangman versus Matt Hardy storyline. Like, out of nowhere, they put this up within a few weeks. Now they're having this match where the winner receives the first quarter earnings of the opponent he defeats. And what did you think of the match? What did you make out of it?
Yeah. So firstly, the implications, the first quarter, I think part of me thinks it's a bit silly. They wanted to have this match and they wanted to have some sort of like reason to have the match. But but it fits Matt Hardy's character. Done it, big money Matt. It's got to be money related. I get it. In terms of the match, I thought I enjoyed it. Not the most memorable match of the night. Again, another sort of weak one in the card. I think you can kind of pick out which ones were going to be the weak ones before the pay-per-view. It's definitely one where, you knew Hangman was going to win. Actually, in saying that, I did predict alternate ending where, if Matt Hardy wins, then, Hangman's under Matt Hardy's kind of eye or lead or whatever, and then Dark Order comes to save. But nonetheless, Hangman won, which is the right result because he's getting a good push now. Ever since he lost the tag titles, actually, sorry, scrap that. Ever since he lost the match against Kenny for the title shot, he reached the low, and now he's back on his rise, and he's winning and winning.
Yeah, but also
up.
Losing the tag titles was also low for him.
Yeah, massive.
It was also low.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
It was definitely building up for him, and he obviously hit the lowest of lows after he lost that title match. And he's found friends in the Dark Order, as we talk about quite often in the show. And it's so nice to see when he won the match. They all come out, they give him a beer, they all have a hug. And I got a bit, I didn't get emotional as such, but not actually emotional. But it got me in the feels when on BTE this week, they did a little montage of Revolution. And they had some nice music in the background, and they showed a clip of Dark Order and Hangman hugging, and you're just like, the fit is right. It's time. Get into joint. They need to have some sort of, Brody, the passing away, it hit everyone hard, and it definitely, the Dark Order members, it's hit hard. I think now it's a good time, to maybe, have a new leader. I know you talked about it last week where you said Evil Uno should be like the temporary leader, but they've not done that so far. They've just kind of got no leader. And I think Hangman's going to hopefully take that place. He deserves it. They love him there. But they also, I don't know whether he would fit as a leader. He would to us as fans because, he's kind of the big star lead in this faction. But again, he's more of a friend to them. Brody was that kind of that authoritative figure where he was like, they were all messing about, and then he'd come in and they'd all be quiet and, try and kiss his ass. But Hangman, it's more like he's like a brother now to them. You know what I mean? It's like, have a beer with Hangman. They love him. It's like, it's funny when you look at the storyline. I'd love to see it in like video from when Hangman first started to get involved with Dark Order to now, because it has been a journey. Loved it on BTE, especially the episode where they couldn't get Hangman, so they were arguing basically there's something about Hangman, but they all started going, fuck Hangman, Hangman, then comes in and joins in himself, doesn't he? And it's just like, because he's that low in confidence and in himself. So it's stuff like that. So it's a lovely story. And to be honest, I don't think this match was even about Matt Hardy too much. I know it was obviously with the implications, but I think again it's more to develop the storyline of Hangman as a character, his personal growth, how he's getting more confidence back, and eventually, fingers crossed, we get a Kenny Hangman reunion. Hangman gets that belt because he's just he's just a star. He has been since day one of this company. He's been one of the best things about it, and he needs that belt round him, Pat. He needs that belt round him.
Yeah, definitely. He was also actually the first face of AEW, which they pushed a lot, but he didn't get over with the fans in the beginning. They didn't get the character. Maybe, they didn't get it because he didn't have this character when coming over from NJPW and Ring of Honor, where he was just like, say, the fourth wheel. Or the fifth wheel. No, there were four, like fifth wheel. Yeah, the Bucks, Kenny, Cody, that was the big thing. And Hangman was always a little in the back, but still, I liked his matches and liked him a lot. His match at All In against Joey Janela, that was just crazy. And loved his matches also in NJPW always. So I was happy that they pushed him. Then sad that he didn't click with the audience or didn't connect. But now they did go the right way all the way along from back then. It's almost like 1.5 years they're doing this now. And that's the thing what I want to see, long-term story booking, not like the company in Stamford does, changing everything every week. I want to be emotionally invested in it. And like you said also, this match was just another piece in the puzzle for the Hangman Dark Order bit they're building up there. what was very important to mention is that when Private Party came out, they distracted. Then directly the Dark Order came after. Matt Hardy was able to hit Hangman, who was standing on the apron, wanted to do the buckshot lariat. He hit him with an elbow. He fell back from the apron. The whole Dark Order was standing there lifting him up, so he was just lifting up. Oh, where am I?
Yeah.
Buckshot lariat, boom, win.
Amazing.
That was just really cool how they did it. Yeah, that was actually the only noticeable big thing happening in the match. It was a good match, but nothing too crazy or too big. It was just really an average good match, also a good pay-per-view match. And it was way more important what happened with the Dark Order and afterwards, like drinking a beer with them together. So it was just fine. Story building match. Really looking forward to where is it going, and yeah, will this be the year of the Hangman? Because I noticed he didn't lose any matches this year.
Nah.
And will the year end with Hangman beating Kenny?
Oh, don't! That's such
this is
a
the big
tease.
thing I'm looking out for.
Imagine if it was exactly
if they do that
from that winter
if
is
they
coming.
do that, because he lost. He did lose at Full Gear. He lost his match against Kenny, the final for the world title thing. If he wins the title at Full Gear this year, great story. 1 year it took him to come back with everything, maybe with the help of the Dark Order, or maybe just having the Dark Order ringside, holding off the Good Brothers, Don Callis, whoever's in Kenny's corner then.
Yeah. Patrick.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. But it's just forecasting.
It's nice to be able to do it.
Yeah, right. The next match was also forecast to what might be happening in the future with the TNT title. It was the Face of the Revolution ladder match, or how I call it, the Green Hill Zone match. Maybe you get the reference or not.
This is a real
insider, because the Green Hill Zone is the first level of Sonic, because the ring hanging above the ring. Yes. Yeah, that was. It looked so much like a ring from Sonic. Oh my god, I couldn't think of anything else. I was watching it with you. Shoutouts to you. We were speculating how they did. They just get this first edge rescue ring you're throwing out when you're on sea and want to help save somebody. Spray that in golden, or this ring you get after winning, I don't know, Formula One race. Oh no, nowadays they don't have that anymore. But you know, these horse races and old car races where they have this ring around their neck, this golden ring, instead of a medal or a trophy. So yeah, it's just, I was distracted from that, to be honest, because it looked like a shiny ring from Sonic. So really, but I could see that they maybe did that also on purpose. We had the surprise entrant, the real one, first one actually for the night, which they really also announced that it's a surprise entrant, and it's Old Ego Ethan Page. I was happy to see him. I don't know how it is with you. I don't have that much connections. I know his name. I saw a little bit of him. He came from Impact after his contract ran out at the end of 2020 and didn't extend it. And we got to know he signed a multi-year deal with AEW. And that he was involved in the match. The match for me was then... it was quite messy, I have to say. There was a lot of things happening, a lot of spots which were duplicated. Like a lot, I think everyone was hit on the ladder, and was hit with a ladder, was thrown on the ladder, or whatever. The thing that stood out is that Cody, he came in with these. I don't know how these tapes. How do you call them? Not acne tapes. They have such a name in the direction. No, these chemo tapes. No, also not chemo. That's something even worse. No, but he got this tapes on him.
The tapes which, on the back. You mean?
Implemented. That's something. Yeah, right, on his shoulder to be precise, because they were on his shoulder, and then. Pentagon showed a quite crazy move. Like I wrote down, maybe it is called a Mexican Destroyer, then onto a ladder with him, and then he landed on the shoulder, which I think it was just a sell, and had to get medical treatment on the stage. He was just standing there, always peeking. Oh, can I go back into the match? Not. So then he had this big comeback moment where our friend Connor maybe didn't like that because they put so much emphasis on Cody's presence in the match. That's also what I see. I didn't like that also so much, that there was so much focus on Cody because he's the big star there. What I more liked and I was hoping for more to see, or also seeing him to win, was Lance Archer. He is just a killer. I just love him, really. they started right. Like, what was it? I think a year ago when he debuted in the pandemic time in that tournament they had for the TNT title. And I think now it's also time to give him something. He was so good, really. I loved seeing him there. He's so brutal and just dangerous, and he could have killed everyone, but these guys, especially Pentagon, were standing way too much around. Pentagon was also taunting way too much in the ring instead of climbing up the ladder. And in the end, the lucky guy was Scorpio Sky. I'm also happy for him, I have to say, like for just sympathy reasons, because he's a good athlete, but I don't have like a big connection to him storyline wise or so. I think he's also someone they trying to push to the moon now as the next star, but they should be watching out that not the same happens as with Hangman, where it doesn't work out and the people are not invested in, because that's everything what it's about in wrestling. So what did you make out of the match? Did you also not like it as much as I did?
No, so I'll start off with the surprise being Ethan Page. I am fairly new to Ethan Page. I only started watching Impact and his stuff when it announced, when Kenny won the title in December. So only a couple months. And the only thing I saw of him really was the build up to, what was trying to think, was it Hard to Kill where Kenny had his title match? And there was an Ethan Page match against himself. And he killed himself, and that's how he obviously got written off from Impact. So that's what I thought. So
right. Super stupid.
So surprised he's here in AEW if he's actually dead. Mental. But no, in terms of, it was nice to see him.
The Undertaker or the Kane.
It'll be nice to see him. I'm worried, that he's not as big a star to get a push. I'm worried he'll just be a dark resident. But he's got a match this Wednesday. Again, we'll preview that in the card for Dynamite this week. So, it was nice to see him. When he came in, I didn't think he'd win because of the stars you got in there. I didn't think him or Max Caster was going to win. It was obviously between the main four, really. The main four to go through. Scorpio Sky. This is what I mainly want to talk about. I like Scorpio Sky. He's a good wrestler. He's a good athlete. Am I the only one that doesn't think he's got much personality? He's not got too much and I can see why you don't have much kind of connection to him or care about him too much, because he's not, apart from winning the tag titles, he's never really had a major storyline, something, that you're rooting for him. He's just kind of been there every now and then. I'm hoping, do I think he'll beat Darby? Probably not for the title, but it'd be nice to maybe then see a feud. Like I could see a heel side in him coming. Could see that from his commentary debut when it was the Max Caster and Preston Vance match last week on Dynamite. I think there's a heel side to him coming. And
also he was heel before with SCU.
Yeah.
This is where they made SCU big with, when being heels, like having their catchphrase, "This is the worst town I've ever been in." They can be heels and they can be very good heels. So
yeah, I do think a lot of fans, especially casual fans that aren't, I don't think they connect with Scorpio Sky too much, and I think they need to change that, because he's got a lot to give and he's got a lot of good wrestling skills to him. And I think if they can't fix his storyline kind of side and give him, something for the fans to kind of care about, they might, struggle to use him. And it's like another. They've got. That's why they need the second show, because they've got a lot of stars like Scorpio Sky who are good, but don't get the airtime and don't get the chance to have a storyline. Another one I'm thinking majorly was Sean Spears when he came back in Dynamite. Obviously, Sean Spears got written out, got taken off the roster on the website, and obviously is back now. But he's another one that's too good to just let rot. He deserves a storyline. He deserves some sort of thing going forward. There's got so many. They need this second show. Scorpio Sky is another one. So fingers crossed for him. That he gets something from, this year, 2021, some sort of, people rooting for him, some sort of storyline, something to get him, the attention he deserves. In terms of the rest of the match, I'm going to be honest, Patrick, it was a bit of a nothing match for me. It had quite a lot of potential. There was some, Lance Archer in it, Penta in it, Cody in it. I'm missing someone. Who was the fourth? Oh no, sorry. Yeah, no, sorry. Scorpio Sky. Yeah, that was it. So yeah, but it had Lance Archer, Cody, and Penta in, who are the main kind of attractions to it for me, as well as Scorpio Sky. And yeah, I'm surprised they went down the route of Scorpio Sky. Maybe because they think the other ones have the already have a big presence in AEW and Dynamite, where they don't need this shot as much because they can have that push by getting their win record up anyway. Like Lance Archer's already big enough to, even if he had won this match, even if he hadn't, he would already get a push at some point again for another title shot. Same with Cody. So I think they did the right thing by choosing someone who wouldn't necessarily get such an easy push. But nonetheless, they had some good options there, and I think it was too. I think having a match like that and having a battle royal, even though they're quite different matches, they're similar in the way to where it's a lot of people in a ring, a lot to keep an eye on, a lot going on. And I think, it didn't grab me as I thought it would. And I do like ladder matches, but nonetheless, it was there. It was a nice match for what it was. And yes, Scorpio Sky the winner, and now going to have a title shot against Darby. So look forward to that match.
Yeah, right. And also there was, like in the tag team battle royal, no emotional investment into the build-up to this. They just announced it 2 weeks before or 3 weeks, and then they really announced it only with a little graphic on the side. And like I said, no real build-up. And that's what I said before. You need this emotional connection, these storylines, to get you invested in that. And you see from a match which has potential, which is like actually money in the bank when you read these wrestlers competing in that match, but with no storyline or anything behind it, it's just half as cool. So this match also didn't click that much for me, and also this is why Scorpio Sky didn't click so much. So, but now we're getting to, I would say, to the main events, because both were main events for me. But no, not before. I almost missed. It's a small bit on top of my notes, which I almost missed, was the big announcement, the big new signee for.
We almost missed it. Imagine. Imagine doing a whole review of Revolution and missing out on one of the main bits of the whole pay-per-view. That'd be us. Right? Tom would be so disappointed. We have to edit it afterwards, like, right. No, and also, like, it's. I think the internet marks would be happy, like, that was a big disappointment. Like, you should forget about him. No, but really, like, I don't know how much you know him, but the new signee is Christian Cage. I was very happy. We were also not having him on our cards, to be honest, when we were talking about this in the preview. It was also nice that he came out to his TNA theme. He is, of course, not that big of a deal compared to how they hyped this announcement, you have to say, because it was quite a big hype around it. So I don't like that they hyped it that much. They could have done it just normally in the show, because of course they want to sell pay-per-views. But I think, like, after revealing Sting at the last pay-per-view at Full Gear, they have some kind of aura now around it that something could happen in that pay-per-view. So you directly just to be sure, I'm gonna buy that pay-per-view if something happens in there. So I don't like the hype too much. Also, which is unfair, because Christian is a really, really good wrestler. He was underutilized in WWE a lot, except in his his tag team run with Edge together. But his best time was out of WWE at TNA as the NWA champion back then. Really great run, really nice, awesome matches back then. AJ Styles was there, Sting was there during that time, Samoa Joe. I'm super happy to see him. Also, what he will bring to the backstage area, like to everything backstage, to tell the young people. There are so many young people there which can learn from him. And that's what I'm really looking forward to. And also his match against Brian Cage, when Christian Cage wrestles against Brian Cage. And somebody also wrote, and special referee is Nicolas Cage, so that would be really good. But this won't happen. Yeah, how did you receive that? How familiar are you with Christian Cage in general? Before I quickly touch that, I also saw a similar thing where it's like Christian Cage and Brian Page versus Hangman Page and Ethan Page with Nicolas Cage as wrestler, just to add the Pages and Cages all together to make it even more confusing. But but no. I was happy with the signing. I think it was AEW's version of clickbait. We got a massive signing. Oh, it's Hall of Fame worthy. I don't think they ever said anything that was factually inaccurate. I just think people got too excited by the fact of Paul White saying Hall of Fame worthy, and a little bit of hype that their minds went racing, and they were like, oh my God, it could be this person. Like, I think I even heard someone say The Rock at one point. I was like, come on, like this would be, very cool. But I think sometimes
we also threw that name in the ring.
Yeah, I think sometimes you just your mind wanders, done it, and you start to get a bit ahead of, like, there's still a new company. There's still a lot of people that don't want to take the risk of signing in case something happens, which I know they've had such a successful year, AEW, but they are still a new company, so they might not want to commit yet until they know. I think a lot of reason why people didn't think Christian Cage was going to be the one was because obviously he appeared at the Royal Rumble. And had that moment with Edge, so you thought...
And sorry, but that's so crazy, right? That WWE didn't sign him. He was really good in the Rumble, and the people were really responding super positively to it, to seeing them back together in the ring. And they're signing, especially older guys like Goldberg or... who else are they signing? Brock Lesnar, yeah, right? Like these, although Brock Lesnar can be still good when he's booked right. But, having these old guys, and then you have Edge and Christian, who both are in a very good physical shape, and they're not doing anything of it.
No, they've missed out massively, and it is a shame. But it's all the better for AEW getting him. I mean, it's a good push, and a good scrap that. It's a good pull for them to be able to get him. So looking forward to seeing what he brings. I agree with you. He's got a lot to give. He's got a lot to kind of share, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. And yeah, was it as good as it could be? Possibly not. I think people are a bit, annoyed and upset right now because of all the people they had imagined. But AEW is still in the position of signing people. Who's to say AEW won't sign CM Punk in the future, or The Rock, as some people say, or like all these people that people want AEW to sign? Who's to say they won't? This was just one small snippet in AEW's history, even so far, and will still be a small snippet in their history if they go on for as long as obviously we all want them to. So for at the time, I think if you took it, if you didn't have the hype and you knew at Revolution AEW were going to sign Christian Cage, you take it, wouldn't you? I would. I think it's great. So I'm personally happy. I'm not too familiar. I know when we first started this podcast, when I did my little introduction, AEW is kind of the first fully committed wrestling I've ever watched. New Japan I did a little bit, and WWE I dabbled. So I knew the name. I have seen some of his matches before. Obviously seen him in his tag matches with Edge and know that whole thing. But in terms of everything else, his TNA background, I'm not too familiar with. So I'm happy as a relatively new wrestling fan to just kind of explore Christian Cage, see him with some of the wrestlers that I'm loving at the moment in AEW, and just see these sort of, again, dream matches that you want to see someone like him have with our stars over here.
Yeah, right. I'm also really looking forward to these matches that have all the potential in the world, and also he is definitely a candidate for me. If I want to see him wrestle for a full match, not like in the Royal Rumble, if he's maybe one day even a title candidate for the AEW title, TNT title, because he can carry it. He can talk. He can walk the walk, also like the Americans like to say. Talk the talk, walk the walk. But that's a big future coming in when you have these... I wouldn't say he's a superstar, but when you have these really fundamental, important wrestlers in the company. Also, Big Show, it was a big signing, but Big Show is not that superstar. Sting was more, but these people are so important backstage. They have so much knowledge. They seem to be very nice people to add to the really good backstage feeling they already have there, where they are learning a lot and having a lot of fun. That's
long may it
which
continue.
Is important for the... Yeah, right. All right, and now the thing I wanted to do now, I wanted to do first, and I almost skipped the big reveal, is the final conclusion, hopefully, the final conclusion of the Team Taz versus Sting and Darby Allin storyline. And actually a match I was looking forward to, although we shitted so much on their weekly segments, which were really shitty anyway. But this match I was really looking forward to also. They didn't say it directly, but it was a cinematic match, is what everyone was clear about. Just going quickly into it to give the setting, it is a street fight. The match or the segment more started, or the film started. I would rather say film, because it was filmed very good. Like as a film fan, the cinematography was great again. What I liked, what there was a little discussion also in the internet about, is like it had always a soundtrack in the back, a little music playing in the back or so. So this made it more like a film than a wrestling match itself. Although they started, Darby was driving down the street on a black and white screen with a skateboard, driving around the corner and then skipping to the back of the truck, which Sting was driving, was dragging him to the warehouse. It looks like the same warehouse where they shot the promo where the both called themselves hoodlums.
Quickly before you go on, did you hear Excalibur when they started coming out in the warehouse to the actual ring, when he said Darby Allin was escorted by his hoodlums or something? All the guys that came out with him had the hoodlums. That's what they called them.
Right. This is what I wanted to say. They were accompanied by hoodlums to the ring with a Sting mask. So the entrance was pretty nice. There was a ring in one part of this warehouse where they started the match in, which I find always funny. You know, you have these matches where it's clearly everything outside of the match. Also, the Stadium Stampede match, they had a shitload of opportunities to go, a shitload like space in there, and they're having a ring in the middle of the football field. No one cares about that little thing, and they still had it in there. And they also had this in the warehouse where like no one cares about the ring, but it was a nice start because it looked really also Hugh will like it. It looked a little bit Lucha Underground style, like I think it was nicely shot also from how they presented it. That Taz was on commentary, that was also pretty cool. But of course, like I said, while they're putting in the ring there, everything got out of hand within a blink of an eye, I would say, and they were not in the ring anymore. And then Sting was very, very using his bat a lot, which I liked. Finally, you can see a baseball bat used, like really, okay, in the next match there are also baseball bats used, but I like that. This thing, he always took that out every week. You're like, he's just a baseball bat now, you know? And now he directly did something with it. He hit a lot of people. Everything, like the whole brawl, got up into the next story, the next level of the building, where I think they were first a little bit separated, Darby and Sting, and then the new dream team, Hobbs and Hook, came in and attacked Darby really bad. I think it was just stupid to put Hobbs into a mask. He was like having this burglar mask on there. Like then Cage and him attacked also Sting, put him out of order for a while. Let's say it like this, with a big barrel, threw Darby Allin into a glass window, which was leaning against the wall, which was proper glass. I think that hurt it a lot. And then the whole brawl, since Darby was knocked out, got downstairs again on the ground level, and Sting was there, like a little pushed into the corner by the Team Taz members, and Darby threw the baseball bat down to him because he threw it up first, and now he throws it down to him. He can attack everyone, beat up everyone. He beat up Brian Cage, took out a shovel, hit his head. I don't think he wanted to hit his head, but he hit his head on the side a little bit. So that was quite funny. And then put him on, and now this is hard for me to describe. So I would just say put him on a wood plate on two metal guardrails. So he was laying there, and below him was a little deeper gap. And Darby Allin, he decided to jump like from 50 meters high, just threw him, just normally what Darby does, with an elbow drop. And of course, both of them were knocked out. Hook was knocked out before, and Hobbs also. And the whole brawl got back into the ring where Sting could finish the match after a little bit with Ricky Starks with a Scorpion Death Drop, which I love as a finisher. And yeah, that was just a quick talk through. And how did you like the match now? And do you think there will be more coming after the match?
Can I just say that was a really good play-by-play by you, Patrick. I really enjoyed that. I think you. So I don't need to talk about really much in the match, except I loved it. And for someone that's been probably the biggest critic of this storyline, as every week I seem to have something bad to say about it, I loved it. Arguably one of my favourite matches of the night, if not the match, one of the matches. Well, it's hard to say. But definitely a match of the night contender. I mean, it was... And I think it's so nice, like, having these cinematic matches, because you can make the perfect length, because you can edit them over and over and, you know, is this too boring? Is this, you know, have we got enough? And I think it was perfect. I think, you know, both, like, teams got to look, you know, good. And I think the right team won. I thought Darby is just insane. I'd love to, you know, talk to him one day if there's any chance, and just be like, why do you do the things you do? Like, you're going to live like 10, 20 years left.
He's maybe like me. He watched too much Jackass and CKY when he was a teenager, maybe.
Massively. Like, he's going to at least knock 10 years off his like life because of the stuff he does. But, you know, for our entertainment, go for it, Darby. That sounds horrible to say. I mean, if he wants to do it, it's his choice. So we can still enjoy it. But no, really, really strong match. Arguably a great match. And yeah, what's going to happen after? Well, we hope that it's the end, but knowing these two, anything can happen. We'll have like a different type of match next, won't we? We'll have like a Hell in a Cell match between them. I don't know. But no. Overall.
Or they get the blood and guts match one day.
Yeah.
But for this, the groups are just too small. So.
Yeah, true. They'd have to bulk them out. But no. Great match. Storyline overall. Is it okay because of how it's ended? Yeah, I just hope AEW do the right thing. We'll see on Dynamite this week whether we get an appearance from any of them. That will tell us how that's going. I mean, Darby's got his title match with Scorpio Sky, so we might see, you know, if there's an appearance there. If not, then we should be all clear, guys. We should hopefully that'll be the last Teen Taz with Darby. And yeah, so love it. And I'm excited to see where they go next. Hopefully Darby focuses more on the TNT title now. And I'm excited to see what Sting does.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. But before I go a little further more into my points on the matches, just a little banter. Just imagine the feud is over. Everyone's like, oh, that's so nice. But now look at Dynamite's match card. Christian Cage addresses the audience. It's what they announce for, and I hope when he does that, there's no Team Taz popping up again at on the screen. Hey, Christian, do you remember me back then when I was a SmackDown commentator? I don't know, please.
No.
No, but just now, away with the banter. Completely agree with you. This match was really, really, really awesome. Like. Or this, I wouldn't say match. It was a film, fighting scene, fighting sequence, whatever. Also, when you compare it to other big like action films, also where you have these scenes, it was way better shot than these scenes because the action was way better. Like you could see more action. There were less cuts, and so I loved also in the beginning. There was a super long camera drive from the ring all the way over this long gap where they later fly in, or Darby Allin flies
that was sick.
Cage onto the other side. That was so cool. They had so nice transitions in this film. Yeah, I loved it a lot. It was worthy. And what I also can take out of it is, like, I looked it up. Sting is not as old. Oh, it's no, the Undertaker is not as old as Sting. Undertaker is 6 years younger than Sting. And Sting looked more like he was 20 years younger than the Undertaker in the ring.
Yeah.
So I'm really curious if he will be not in a cinematic match and in a real match in the ring one day again, because he looked really, really good. I don't know, of course, I cannot say, you cannot see how often they had to stop or so, just let him breathe a little bit or so, or the segments where he wasn't in or where he was there, if he needed to relax and breathe or so, but it was really good by Sting, and I'm really looking forward to it. He's not... Like, I would just go back to the Goldberg Undertaker match, which was horrible in where was that? In Saudi Arabia. So that's completely a different league we're talking about here. So that was a good signing for on screen now. Like it was like it started really low with the feud. It got below ground because it was so shitty, and then the last 2 weeks it skyrocketed for me and ended in such a good match. So they were just killing time in between. That was not that cool, but we had a nice outcome of it, so it was worth the waiting. What also was worth the waiting, I think, and I was super excited for this, to see that ever, like, really again, like on a bigger stage, is the, how I called it the last week's, exploding bitches barbed wire death match, but just the exploding barbed wire death match for the AEW Championship. Also here to set, to give you the setting or the rules, also because there were some settings which were different, because you think, everything is surrounded by this crazy barbed wire explosive things. No, one side of the ring was open, was normal, and Kenny Omega communicated that on Twitter before, because he posted a nice drawing of the whole setup, and people were asking why there are just 3 sides and not 4. He just said it's for the security, if something happens, that someone can get in and out quickly, and that not everything is surrounded, and that they don't have to be like the Senny guy, like the medic guy on a battlefield who has to go through the mines and everything to find wounded people. No. They just want to be in and out quick if something happens. What was also funny is that Brian Ramsberg, the referee, was completely wrapped in that suit and the mask from a bomb diffuser guy from the police. So this put a little more highlight on how dangerous it is. It looks also a little ridiculous, but on the other hand, of course, later in the match this happened. Like, I don't know if you recall that when Kenny needed some water for his eyes, he got some gunpowder in his eyes. So this can happen. There's an explosion, there can be gunpowder. Of course, there can be also like fire or how do you call these things that come out? I don't know the English word for it actually right now. There's sparks. The sparks can hit you in the eye or so, and the referee is the one who is important for the communication also with the gorilla position backstage, and if some medical treatment needs to be done there and somebody needs to come to the ring. So I think that's quite important, so nothing I would really brag about, and I cannot see when people making fun of that online, because this was quite important still, because we're not in the 80s where you're just doing this crazy stuff until somebody dies. You're like, oh, we should have done that maybe different. No, we know now better that we need to keep the wrestlers safe, although this is super crazy, this match. So, and one very important rule they said, they have this extra bomb under the ring, which explodes after 30 minutes if the match is not finished by then. The whole ring will be blown up no matter what. So yeah, and also during the match, Don Callis put a lot of emphasis on that also. I think, like, he said it so many times, and he also put the emphasis on that he and Kenny built that structure, not John Moxley. It was him and Kenny who put that all together, put that in there, which is very important for what happens after the match we need to talk about. Yeah, maybe your thoughts on the match, but just please up until the top where the match ended, and then we can talk about the other stuff afterwards.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. So let's do this.
Yeah.
This was my most anticipated match of the card. I think it was everyone's. I've never even heard of this type of match, let alone seen one before they announced it. I'm now fully knowledgeable about these type of matches. It's definitely my kind of dream match. I love my hardcore matches, and yeah, this was definitely one of them. These two, I'm so emotionally invested in them. Like Moxley, I'm so like sad that he's not champ anymore, because when I see him walk out, like he's just is the AEW champ. He for me is the AEW unofficial champ now. If he never gets the title again, he will always be the champ for me, because I love that man. He's walking out, and I think this is more emphasis when he was walking out than when Kenny, because obviously he came out first. He comes out as usual through the crowd. The crowd's going mental. Obviously his music's going. You can see the ring, the battlefield as such, and he's coming out, and he's obviously got a little shot glass with him, a shot. What do you call him? A flask. He's got some shot flask.
I know what it's in German. A flask, you call that?
Yeah, we call it a flask. Yeah.
What do you? Yeah, okay, good. We unfortunately Thomas not here, but in German we say Flachmann.
Love it. But yeah, so we had that for a bit of Dutch courage. Obviously, hyping himself up. And I know Tom said before, you really think he could die in this match? Like, it is so dangerous, this type of match, and only these two in this company could do this type of match, I think, because there's so much on the line for him, storyline wise and, wrestling wise and the title wise. And when you come to the match, obviously then Kenny comes out to battle cry, as he normally does, looking a bit like a maniac. Like it's definitely obviously, done right because he's the heel and Mox is the face. You love him when Mox comes out. When he comes out, you think, oh my God, he's going to kill John. But for the whole match, like the setup was amazing. Some really good spots, which I'm sure you'll get to again. Like the theme in this episode, come to you for the spots and the play-by-play. But one of my favourites, the paradigm shift that Mox done on Kenny off the edge of the ring onto the tables, which covered in barbed wire exploding underneath. I don't know whether people thought the explosives were going to be like actual bombs or something, because I feel like people were getting their maybe not hopes up, but I think people actually wanted to see people die in this match, like from the way people were going on Reddit. Like it's a match, it's for entertainment. Yeah, right. No one's actually going to die. Like calm down, crikey. No. We got some serious arsonists or whatever on Squared Circle or AEW Reddit. Like people want, I don't know, pain to these wrestlers. But no, it was still, I think, before we talk about the end, which we're going to come to, if you look at it from just a match point, match of the night for me, amazing match, and definitely will go down, in history. I think for the right reasons, as well as obviously what we'll touch about. But I think it's still an amazing match, and I know for sure, me personally, I watch wrestling matches quite regularly with Liam, maybe once a week, once every other week, we'll have a little catch up and watch a couple of wrestling matches. This will be one I'll go back to 5-10 years now, watch it, because I loved it, and why wouldn't you? It involves a couple of my favourite wrestlers, has a really good storyline to it. It's a match that you probably won't see again for a long time. It's unique. It's, got loads of good spots. It's actually got violence, really good violence and stuff. And it's just insane. And it's just a shame, obviously, what happened. Again, we'll touch that. But for me personally, based on just the match of the night, loved it. Bravo to Mox and Kenny for putting on such a good show for that match. And yeah, I hope we get to see it again. But it was needed. It was a needed match to end the feud. I think they needed something like this with some sort of stipulation like this instead of just a normal match, because you need to end this feud with a bang. A bang, as an explosive barbed wire death match is a bang.
Right. Yeah, completely agree with you. I think that there we can already wrap up the match of the night section, because I also agree with you there.
Just do it now.
Was my match of the night, the one. Yeah, right, because that was the thing I was looking forward to. You are a huge Mox fan. I'm a huge Kenny fan for years now. Was looking so much forward to it.
Well, I'm a huge Mox and Kenny fan.
Yeah, I'm a bigger Kenny fan. Kenny is on top. There's just RVD is above him. So Kenny is really my from the active ones. Although RVD is also active, but now really on top, because RVD is not the RVD he was 20 years ago when I liked him more or loved him more. But yeah, it was just a banger. It was awesome for me, really to watch that. I'm not a person who wants to see violence and people die, or I don't like splatter movies or so, but this stipulation just brought it up on point. These two people hate each other so much, they have to go to this barbaric, sadistic match to finally put an end to that shit. And in the beginning they were mostly trying to avoid that, which is of course completely common, that you don't want to land in the barbed wire and in the explosives. So it was quite funny to see that. But yeah, then Moxley was the first person to be blown up first. I think there were 5 or 6 times they really landed in it and really launched the explosives on the side. Like I said, at one time, Kenny got something in his face, and I think it was gunpowder. So he was just needed some water to get that out there. What was interesting for me also, you mentioned the paradigm shift of the apron into the barbed wire explosive table. Very crazy. Also, the landing was brutal, really. And in the end, I think, Kenny was hurt a lot also, but Mox was laying in the barbed wire. And then you're like, how is he going to get out without being hurt? So it's like laying on a bed of needles, or nails. Yeah, what I wrote down, which was quite interesting, they also in this match didn't let Mox or like any wrestler, like Kota Ibushi is the only one who did it until now, kick out of the one-winged angel. No, he just kicked to the side and launched another explosive to stop the 1-2-3 count on him. That was quite interesting, I think. So they're still selling that. I was like, when Kenny hit the one-winged angel and put him down there, I was like, is it over now? It doesn't feel like, but he's not kicking out. What they're gonna do? And then launch the explosive. That was really smart, really cool. The match ended with, I think, what we all expected, or got to the end when the Good Brothers came in and just interrupted the match, interrupted Moxley from gaining more and more momentum. I think it looked like it, that he was gaining the hand back, the overhand back, like we say in German. And then they interrupted it, completely stopped him, brought in also not the barbed wire baseball bat, the barbed wire explosive baseball bat was it, which Kenny then struck on Moxley for a real huge explosion just from a baseball bat compared to what we come later. That was a massive thing. I was like, oh my god, this is dangerous because it's so close to the eyes then also, and the face. And then Kenny hit another one-winged angel, but onto unfolded chair, which was very brutal, but he hit it perfectly on it, like not on one side of it or so, like he hit it perfectly where I was like, oh, that was brutal, but Moxley wasn't hurt seriously from it. Like you could feel, okay, he wasn't really injured from it. But Kenny and the Good Brothers thought different. They kept on going after Kenny. They kept slapping him. In the end, they were handcuffing him, really beating him up brutal, just to let the countdown run down. So in between the match, there was like a submarine sound. I don't know, when a torpedo is coming close or so. I don't know how to describe the sound which was coming, which was warning, was putting a little tension on it. And then commentary also said, oh, this means like the explosion, the 30-minute countdown timer is almost gone. Or they need to hurry up now. This got a little closer to the end until the countdown was running on the screen in the background. They beat up Moxley brutally. And what then happened will go down in wrestling history, I think. So the timer ran down from 1 minute to, let's say, 10 seconds down. And at one point where it was close to the 10 seconds, the Good Brothers, Kenny Omega and Don Callis, they were posing on stage. They were like, yeah, we're the best. And then they're like, oh, fuck, 10 seconds. We need to get away. There was something big happening. On the way in again, they left, of course, through the heel tunnel, and out of the heel tunnel in the complete opposite direction to the stage, to the ring, was running Eddie Kingston. You're like thinking, who the hell would save this poor guy? They're just gonna let this thing explode and he'll be written off the show. He's a baby on his way or so. They want to keep him out of the thing a little bit. No, Eddie Kingston came out, tried to drag his old friend out of this thing. He didn't want him, obviously, to die. There was something huge happening. Like Don Callis also said before, he tried to drag him, and a few seconds before, it was very well acted, I have to say also. It was really good acting. And he was like, oh, fuck it, I'm just going to lay myself on and protect him. And then came a black screen. The show was over. It was a really big and great show, I think. No, then came out like, I can only say from my point, I don't want to make such a big fuss out of it. Of course, it ruined the whole moment when these real small sparkles and the explosives, which were in front of the ring and not in the ring, came out. Explosion was not that big, but Eddie Kingston was laying on top of Moxley like he just got, I don't know, killed. They were in Second World War at Omaha Beach or so, and he just tried to protect him. In the end, nothing happened. He was overacting then, definitely. They could have solved that maybe better, of course, like you as, or we as people standing outside were like, yeah, they could have solved it better. You don't know what they said before, what Eddie Kingston was thinking about it, what was going on there, but the explosions and the reaction from it were definitely not, I think, also what they expected. I read also now on the news just shortly before the recording of this podcast that Kenny Omega was very upset backstage that this didn't blow off correctly. In the media crunch afterwards, Tony Khan also said, it was definitely something Kenny Omega, but they will Kenny Omega's fault, like on-screen fault. But they will put that into a storyline in Dynamite maybe tomorrow. They definitely need to address that. And what was also interesting, There were a lot of videos of this online, of course, also mock videos. I sent one in the group, which I think was on point funny when you play the Titanic music on the right spot there. But these videos got flagged and taken down because of copyright infringement, which AEW usually never does. That they are putting small clips down or so. So that was something they wanted to have out of the internet, maybe because they wanted people to buy the pay-per-view to see that, to see this weird ending, or they just were ashamed of it. But I said now, I think now, before coming to you, I think it's not that bad. It's just, of course, it just puts something like unfortunate on it. Like the ending was so good, so almost perfect, and then this happens. You're like, for fuck's sake, that's so poor. And I was laughing also at this point, but I was not. We're all human. Something happened there, didn't go off as they planned to. I think it was not that big of a deal that it didn't happen as it was supposed to, because I think I got the message. I was like, okay, this is a live show, this can happen, but yeah. But what do you think about it? How did you react when you saw that?
Yeah, I mean, you've pretty much touched on the key points I wanted to make. One of the things I want to address, and just to anyone that's listening as well, don't put the company down because of this. This is a live show. This is, it's not a cinematic match like Sting and Darby versus Team Taz. It's not a tape-in. This is live. And it just goes to show these things can happen when it's a live show. Was the match near enough perfect? Yes. Would the ending, if it had gone right, made it undoubtedly one of the best things we've seen on AEW? Yes. Just because it's not gone to plan doesn't mean we should completely strip this match of what it was. It was an excellent match with excellent storyline implications. And because of one thing, I'm seeing so much hate on AEW, so much hate on the pay-per-view, and all this stuff. No. I even saw one person ask for a refund. It's like, mate, come on. You got a really good pay-per-view here just because of that one thing. They need to address it. They definitely could have, if they were a bit more, on it, could have even addressed it straight away on the pay-per-view, like, Eddie Kingston looking confused, and then say it was just like a trick, or, Kenny Omega's, crafting of the ring wasn't quite to plan. But no, obviously, poor Eddie Kingston, and, the real person that does play Eddie Kingston, obviously got told, like, this is what's going to happen, sell it, like that. If I'm honest, and I think it's going to give people a reason to tune into Dynamite now, just to see how they're going to address it. So, if something bad happens, it's just moral of the story. If something bad happens, you can still make a good out of it. There's a way to kind of salvage something from it, and I think that's going to be seen on tonight's Dynamite. So just to anyone that's listening, please don't. I even saw people saying, this happens to AEW all the time. Their production's bad, like blah, blah, blah. It's like, you know what? Just relax. Like, the reason we watch wrestling and we watch the 2 hours of Dynamite every week and watch pay-per-view is to be entertained. Were you not entertained? You were. So just shut the fuck up. Enjoy it for what it was. You're watching a wrestling match. If it had gone, the way it was, obviously it would have added nicely to the storyline implications. It didn't. So let's just, forget it. It was a good pay-per-view. It was a good match. And that's all that really needs to be said, really. It will for me, and I know it will for some people, live long in the memory for the wrong reasons. For me, it will live long in the memory for right reasons, because it was a fucking awesome match.
Yeah, right. I think we are here on the same point, on the same side here. Also, I wouldn't shit on the whole pay-per-view completely now, because this ending wasn't perfect. Like, in general, now we talked about the match of the night. Like, in general, like, my rating, it wasn't the best pay-per-view of them, but it was still a strong one. Of course, you will remember for the missed explosion, but I will more remember it for definitely the exploding barbed wire match. That's definitely, and the first match Sting was in. The other matches were all like good and decent, except the OC match. I would say, like, if I would have a soundboard, like Tom, Screamer of the Night.
Screamer of the Week, we agree.
Miro match. Yeah, or Screamer of the Week. That was the match with Miro, Chuck Taylor, Kip Sabian, and Orange Cassidy, definitely. But all in all, the whole event was great for me. Like, it was a really good show, very good show. The main events, like I said, 2 main events for me were great. Was worth waiting for them. Really awesome, and I don't give it a rating or rank it somewhere, but it was a good show. One of the best shows, not maybe one of the best, but definitely one of the better shows of the pay-per-view shows, and a good start into the new year.
I'd go for it if I had to rate it, probably, and see if you agree. Maybe a 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10.
I would say 8.
8. Yeah. Okay. We'll go for 8 then. 8 out of 10. We'll see if Tom agrees.
Yeah, okay,
with
that's
us.
good. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Okay, cool. We're on point there. On the same point there. Then let's look forward to the Dynamite episode that's happening. Where we're
the fallout from tonight. Revolution.
Right, the Revolution Fallout. So you already said it before that it will be 6-man tag match for the women's with Britt Baker, Maki Ito, and Nyla Rose against Hikaru Shida, Ryo Mizunami, and Thunder Rosa. Then we have the TNT Championship match, which was also already previewed by the match itself, by the Face of the Revolution match. Darby Allin as the champion defending against Scorpio Sky. We got a little glimpse of the AEW World Tag Team Championship that might happen. We have a singles match between Matt Jackson and Rey Fenix. We have also what has been said before on Revolution is the Inner Circle War Council, which will be happening. And then we have All Ego Ethan Page's first Dynamite match against Lee Johnson together with QT Marshall. Maybe also there some reactions, some fallout from Revolution, and we'll hear from Christian Cage, which is a little terrifying for me from the formulation of that.
You're scarred.
Yeah, I'm scarred. Yeah, I'm traumatized. So, yeah. So what do you think about this match card? Is there something you're looking forward to, or like in general waiting for some surprises?
Yeah, from a actual match standpoint, I think it's hard to look past the 6-man women's match. I think that's going to be epic. I'm really looking forward to that. In terms of, storyline implications, Inner Circle War Council is going to be cool, and it'll be nice to, hear from Christian Cage actually speak, because obviously in Revolution he just came out of his clipboard, had a little, moment and signed and then left. So it'll be nice to hear what he has to say, what he kind of has plans for his time in AEW. But yeah, so overall, as a standout of anything for this week's Dynamite, yeah, the women's 6-man, that's going to be awesome. Looking forward to seeing some of our favourites like Maki Ito, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, and some that maybe aren't quite our favourites like Nyla Rose. But, still be good.
Yeah, right. Completely agree with you. Also, Matt Jackson versus Rey Fenix. This will be a nice match. Although we had this match already like in the Escalera de la Muerte match, where the Lucha Brothers were against the Young Bucks. But yeah, in general, the card is interesting to see. The matches are, I have to say that the matches are really good on that, the matches and the segment which are announced are really good. Really curious to see also how much viewership it will draw in the end, because on NXT, I think it's on NXT this Wednesday when there's Adam Cole against Finn Balor for the NXT Championship, which is teased now a bit. So just looking into less important shows. But yeah, and that's actually, I have to say, I want to put that in now when we're talking about less important shows, because I forgot that last Friday, that it looks now really, really strongly that NXT is moving Wednesdays off USA Network to a Tuesday because of the NHL games they want to present on that. So that will be interesting to see, because last week we had with the Shaq match 1.3 million viewers, or 1.3 million just for the match. That was very interesting to see. It's also interesting to see with the development now, because of course I'm speaking for myself, or for ourselves, because we're in that AEW bubble a little bit. But looking onto the internet itself, it was a big hype around this event. Like really big. They were trending worldwide already before the pay-per-view with the hashtag AEW Revolution, before the pay-per-view, not during. That was quite interesting. Also with the signing of Christian, having Sting in there, I'm really interesting how the year will now be also for AEW, how they will develop. Learning from their mistakes, seeing that the women's are getting now, like with the tournament and everything, a little more on-screen time, which we both hope. and see how they're just developing like over the whole year, how they are building up their program. This hype thing, I hope this hype thing doesn't damage their reputation too much, and they're not doing that in the future again. But I can see when you see the ratings of Raw and everything that they always said they don't want to compete with them, but they are really serious competition for them now and getting into that area. Also teaming up with Impact and NJPW, it goes in a super interesting direction. I wouldn't say I was disappointed now, but I was hoping for maybe an NJPW talent instead of Ethan Page. Nothing against Ethan Page personally, although there was Maki Ito. She was, for me personally, the biggest surprise of the night. There was really nice, pleasant surprise. But yeah, starting with this show into the year, or the year, the first big show in the year, it's interesting to see where this will lead up to, right? How they will.
No, absolutely,
and thing, you know.
Yeah, doing our first pay-per-view as WANK. It's been a pleasure doing it with you, Patrick.
Yeah,
Shame,
right.
Obviously Tom can't be here. I'm sure he's gutted he's missed out, but you know, he'll be back for our next pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, where we'll review that. So fingers crossed that'll be, you know, a good one. But yeah, pleasure doing it with you, Patrick. It's been a nice little evening, nice little recap of what was a good pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was nice having a nice tete-a-tete with you, just being the two of us. No, I'm also missing Tom here. Really looking forward to doing that with you guys. I think tomorrow again, if everything.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him. Yeah.
If Tom, right. If everything is good with him, hopefully, and yeah, what else I can say is maybe. Guys, if you're listening to us from wherever you are, please tell us. Let us know. Comment on social media, on YouTube. What do you think about the show? If I'm a total racist prick. If Jack is the redhead you're thinking of, or if you want to see pictures of him, I don't know. Whatever. Just let us know. We're just having fun here, you know, like we're doing this just as a hobby. By the way, we try to be as close as possible to the show, so we just hope you're enjoying it as much as we do. We're just fans as you are. And ending that show with a quote, not resting wise, I just say good morning, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.